Hi all, my name is Arvind Vora. I'm an LNC member at large representative to the Libertarian National Committee. And in this video I'm going to give you a very brief introduction to Who's Driving. Who's Driving was a game invented by Carla Howell, and Carla ran some of the most successful libertarian campaigns in the party's history, including an extremely effective bid for governor, ballot initiatives, etc. And what she discovered during this time was what it took to run an effective libertarian campaign versus a less effective libertarian campaign. There was a few things that she discovered, and she put them into this game, Who's Driving. I'm going to explain just some of the basic ideas over here, and we'll do a more thorough introduction during our initial play. And of course, Carla herself will be over here and able to really give the explanation of this game in the way that really only she can. The first principle of Who's Driving is this. You need to be on the offensive all the time. So, for example, let's say the question comes up, hey, should we increase the minimum wage? With that, if you answer the question with a yes or a no, you're discussing either in the worst case scenario increasing it, or in the best case scenario doing nothing. If instead you go on the offensive and say, we need to completely eliminate the minimum wage, then the worst case scenario is that the minimum wage doesn't go anywhere, and the best case scenario is that we actually reduce or eliminate the minimum wage. So the first principle is offense only. The second principle that we really want to focus on in Who's Driving is the difference between benefits and reasons. Reasons are what you put in a philosophy paper. It's what you would put in a debate. Benefits are what you would talk about in a sales pitch. And as communicators for liberty, we really want to be focusing on a sales pitch attitude. The difference between a benefit and a reason, I'm just going to give you an example. Suppose that I say that marijuana is basically as safe as alcohol, or I might say that marijuana is safer than alcohol, therefore it should be legalized. Now, if you don't happen to smoke marijuana, that's not really a benefit. It's logical. It's a reason. And for people who think logically, well, I guess that works well. But that's not really the most powerful part of the human mind that we need to be appealing to in our messaging. I'm going to give you an example of what a benefit looks like. A benefit for ending the war on drugs would be reducing violent crime and reducing your taxes. Whether or not you smoke marijuana, reducing violent crime is a positive, and less taxes is also a positive. So the difference between a benefit and a reason is a benefit is something that is like a direct benefit to you personally, specifically right now. Here's another example. Here's an example of a reason. It's morally wrong to have somebody pay for the college tuition of somebody else, especially if that first person never had the opportunity to go to college himself or herself. I mean, if you're in that specific situation, maybe it's benefit, but that's basically a moral and philosophical argument. Here's what a benefit would look like. If we eliminate all federal financial subsidies, colleges will have no choice but to lower tuitions. That means student debt these huge student debts we have now become a thing of the past. So if you're a student, you're not going to face these huge debts. If you're a parent who's saving up for college education, you're not going to have to save up your whole life because college education will be reasonably priced. Why will it be reasonably priced? Because without the government subsidies, they will have no other option than to lower their tuitions. See the difference? The idea is a benefit is something that benefits you right away. A reason is a moral argument. So Who's Driving is really about focusing on the benefits. In this game, you're going to be playing either an interviewer or an interviewee. That's going to be two of the important roles, but the audience has a very, very important task in Who's Driving. The job of the audience is to let the candidate know, or the person who's playing the candidate know, whether or not he's advancing liberty or if he's just playing into the Democrat-Republican mindset of always expanding government and never actually cutting government. So what your job as an audience member is when the candidate is talking about liberty, keep the camera like this. If the candidate is talking about anything else, cover it up like this. Just cover up the camera with your thumb or with your hand, whatever. This immediately lets the candidate know that he is steering off course and can immediately course correct right that second. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm being interviewed and I'm being the candidate, and I'm going to show you what you should be doing with your thumb. The suppose the interview asks, what should we do? Should we invade Syria or not? Let's say that's the question. I start to say, well, I don't think we should invade Syria. See, right now I have the camera covered up because I don't think we should invade Syria is not cutting government. It's arguing against an increase in government. I say, well, we shouldn't invade Syria. Camera's still covered. And I don't think we need more military. Camera's still covered. What I do think we need is we actually need to cut military spending. We need to reduce our military because by reducing military, we are able to first create less enemies, reduce your taxes, improve the economy, bring our troops home right away, have the best and brightest people of hard work and discipline, that's America's military men and women, have them be part of a future of innovation, excellence, and prosperity. Right now, see, I have the camera uncovered because I'm talking about benefits and I'm talking about cuts. I'm not just arguing against something. One thing that Carla Howell noticed when she was designing this game was that libertarians are really good at finding problems with government, but not really terribly good at taking the next step, which is actually suggesting the cuts. So if you're just finding fault with government, so for example, let's say I'm answering a question about the Department of Education. I can say the Department of Education is really, really bad. The Department of Education gets in the way of educational innovation. The Department of Education is the worst thing ever. See, the camera's still covered up. However, if I then take the next step and say, therefore, we should cut the Department of Education, we should eliminate the Department of Education. This is going to, first, reduce government spending. It'll allow us to cut taxes. It'll get rid of the government regulations that get in the way of educational innovation, which means it'll improve educational innovation. It's going to give you more choices, lower cost choices, and better quality choices for your children's education. See, at this point, I have the camera uncovered because, again, I'm talking about cutting government and the benefits to cutting government. Who's driving? It takes a few tries really to get the hang of it, and we're going to have many, many, many chances for everybody in this group to really test this out. So go ahead and sign up for the next Who's Driving that you're available for, and before you do that, make sure you've installed Google Hangouts on your iPad or a computer or whatever it is that you're going to use. See you online.